Yeah, it is another episode of the Autumn Windbags. RJ, Clifford, Juan Soto. Let's have some fun today. Happy 4th of July, everybody. Happy Independence Day. Guess which one of us is a patriot and which one's a terrorist. One of us has no 4th of July garb and an Al-Qaeda beard. And another one of us looks like George Washington fucked Morgan Wallen.
This is a Al-Qaeda beard if I was like in the 7th grade. This is a pretty short beard for them.
Yeah, don't disrespect Al Qaeda, RJ.
Oh,
how dare you sully their good name?
This is more of a Al Qaeda appreciation beard.
So this is technically a Raiders meme because it's Carl Weathers. I thought this was great. 4th of July.
Tell me how to get a bit my hand off.
He got your hand. Well, I got his head.
Dude, I just
everything Carl Weathers is technically a Raiders meme. We take credit.
Yeah, he's a Raider. He was a Raider.
Linebacker, man, for 2 games counts.
So, homegirl had seen Happy Gilmore, but didn't remember all of it. So that's all I needed. That's all I needed. So we put it on and watched it, and yeah, she laughed the whole time. I wish I had chick brain sometimes, where you could just forget. Just fight over large chunks of movies.
Oh, yeah.
Because then every time you watch it, it's like brand new again.
They could remember you not taking out the trash 12 years ago, but they'll forget an entire Adam Sandler movie. That's a classic.
Dude, they can see the hostess at a restaurant give you a double look from like 40 yards across a crowded restaurant. And they'll remember that, and they'll throw it in your face every chance they get. But they watch The Godfather, and they forget what the name of the dad is.
Your chick just needs to understand the piece of ass that she's dating. It's going to be looked at.
I try my best to just look as normal as I can. It's not my fault. I look good. I smell good. I can dance all night long. I can't help it.
With these sunglasses, you do look pretty hot. Because
I can't help it, man. It's
blurry.
Not my fault.
It's very blurry. I wish they were more X-ray. So happy 4th of July. This will come out July 3rd. So it's kind of our 4th of July episode, which also means we're 66 days away till Raiders opening day. We're basically 2 months away from real Raider football.
We were like 100, like what was it, like almost like 100 or something like that, like a couple weeks ago. I'm telling you guys, this goes by so freaking fast. When you count it, big chunks of 7 every single time. Bang, bang, bang. I'm telling you, it's gonna be training camp in no time.
Well, and it's summer too. So you're like, oh man, it's the lull. There's not like a football news. It's like, well, yeah, like you're doing barbecues and you're going to the beach and the kids out of school. You're doing vacation. The weather's fantastic. Like it goes fast. Like it'll go fast because it's a cool time of year. It's like, all right, we'll take a little break from all sports. Like NBA's over, NHL's over. It's like the only real like 5-week period of NFL offseason. Then, oh yeah, let's go outside and get a tan. See some family, do some shit.
Just make sure you don't blow your freaking hand off.
Right? Like
please,
Tubbs.
Guys. Just do me a huge favor, guys. Just keep it cool, all right? We don't need anyone to have any freaking, what was that fool's name? Jason Pierre-Paul?
Oh.
We don't need any Jason Pierre-Pauls, okay? We don't need any of that nonsense happening.
It's crazy. JPP's career like really didn't miss a beat despite missing half a hand.
He's just such a freak athlete, dude. It is just craziness how freaking good he was when he was at his peak.
But he was dumb enough to blow his hand off. You know, it's like you can either be a super incredible athlete and be kind of dumb, or be a super genius and be a terrible athlete. God doesn't give with both hands. See what I did there? Play on words.
Oh boy, that was good. Actually, I'm gonna give you that.
Hold on, I never used this sound. Let me see if is there a. Oh, I don't have like a bump. Or do I? There we go. All right, let's get into some football. I've been thinking about Ashton Jeanty, like every other red-blooded Raider fan, and just thinking just dirty thoughts. So excited that he's with us. But the real question is, can Ashton Jeanty drag the Raiders' run game, kicking and screaming, out of the dumpster? Because it's been bad, and it's been bad for a while. Josh Jacobs kind of covered all the warts when he was the rushing leader that year. Remember, he had 900 yards rushing after contact. Like, he had a near Pro Bowl year after the defensive tackle hit him. Like, it wasn't like the run game was good. It was just Josh Jacobs was just doing it all by himself. Last year, worst run game in football. This year, we got the number one running back out of the draft, the best athlete out of the draft. Can Ashton Jeanty drag the Raiders' run game out of the dumpster, Soto?
Yes, 100%. 100%. I think a lot of the issues that we had going into last season was just a terrible run blocking scheme set aside by the offensive line coach and Luke Getsy. And it was just not enough time for Joe Philbin and Turner to fix it. It got better as the year progressed. You know, even Amir Abdullah had a 100-yard game at the end of the season. So it started getting better with guys that were backup players, not a guy to the talent of Ashton Jeanty or even Raheem Mostert for that matter. Mm-hmm. And the two guys that we had kind of being the lead backs in the beginning of the season just were a guy that people thought could be a starter, but it was more of a backup in Zamir White and Alexander Madison, who was a career backup. So it's not like we were putting these top end talent at running back out there and then we were just getting stuff. We had a very poor running back room as far as talent goes.
Arguably the worst running back room in the entire
NFL. It probably was the worst because we didn't have really a lead back. We didn't really have one.
It's like, it's hard to think of like a worse one, and obviously made worse with Getsy, arguably the worst offensive coordinator in football. So there's a lot of things. There's a ton of there. So there's one thing worrying about me, and it's just like the amount of distance that needs to be covered, because we weren't just the worst run game in football. We're the worst run game in football by a mile. Like, it was really bad. So there's a lot of distance to cover to get the Raider run game to just average, let alone good. But there's a lot of things going for us this year, right? Pete Carroll's dedication to the run. We might just even make it up in volume, right? It's just like there's going to be a dedication to it. The threat of the deep ball. Geno Smith has a rocking of a deep ball. None of our quarterbacks last year could throw a decent deep ball. They can crowd the box, and they didn't even bother because the run game was so terrible. And then I think the giant wild card is Chip Kelly and what type of offense he's going to scheme up. He's proven to be pretty flexible and adjusting to who he has, what personnel he's got. And even when he had, when he was the OC of Ohio State, and almost every single time the far superior roster, maybe one game they played a team that was, equal to them talent-wise. Not even Michigan, who beat him, was, I would say, as equal talent-wise. Only in the trenches, maybe. Anyway, rambling on. But what can Chip Kelly do about it too? Because he needs to be able to lean into Ashton Jeanty's strengths and also get the most of this O-line. And like I've said 100 times, my primary concern, there's not a lot of concerns I have with Chip, but my primary concern is he demands a lot of his O-line, and our O-line is not elite. It's probably, it's a good chance it could be below average. So he's going to have to scheme getting trash run game out of last year, basically starting from scratch, and scheming with the tools that he has: a great backup tight end, a good left tackle, a burgeoning center, potentially, hopefully, this phenomenal new rookie running back that's going to take the entire NFL by storm and make it balanced enough where everything plays off the other. Enough deep balls so that you can run the ball, enough running the ball so you can do play action, enough intermediate balls to Brock and etc. Hopefully we have an X that comes, of the guys that we have, someone steps up as a big speedster X to take the ceiling off, etc., etc.
I think it all works together, and the fact that there is better talent, everything that you talked on or touched on, there's better talent now. Mm-hmm. Better talent in the coaching rooms, better talent on the offensive line, better talent outside at receiver, better talent at running back, better talent calling plays, better talent at quarterback. So everywhere you look, so it's not just the line. It's not just Ashton Jeanty. Everything that you see, everywhere you look around, there's more talent than there was last year. We had just look. If you're a defense facing the Raiders last season, you're just saying, dude, Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew, whoever else is back there, I dare you to beat me with your arm.
Mm-hmm.
The only way you can really beat us is if you control the clock and you run the ball on us and wear us down. That's the only way you can win.
Yeah.
And unless we beat ourselves. And this is something that a lot of the defenses said, okay, let's just pack the box and make it harder for them to run. And, the quarterback arms don't have the type of talent to beat you on their own. So if they end up doing it, well, let's just tip our caps to them like Baltimore did. Like, hey, you know what? You guys got us.
Mm.
You got some sacks when you need to at the end of the game. You kicked some field goals, and you got us. But ultimately, 13 times the defense had it right in the opposing team. So it's not just as simple as can Ashton Jeanty do it, because it's not just Ashton Jeanty that's an upgrade from last year. Now, I will say
that's just my clickbait. That's just my clickbait for the name of the video.
But with that being said, everything the same. If you put Ashton Jeanty on the team last year, the running game would have been better.
Yeah, I mean, it's look, the value of running back has decreased over and over and over again, and for good reason. And it's not like a slam on them, or they're just getting stereotyped, or they're getting pigeonholed. It's like, look at the numbers, look at the cap, look at the metrics. It's a thing. It's realistic.
And now I want to just hang on. I want to put a
but real quick.
Okay.
Value we only care about from March to August. Once the season starts, who gives a fuck what they're getting paid, right? It's done. It's a done deal.
Yeah,
right?
You all fit in the cap.
It's all at that point. It's like, okay, that's the nerdery is done, right? It's important. Like the offseason stuff is very, very, very important, but that shit's done now. Now it's just who's going to play better for us, and now we got a fucking thoroughbred lining up behind the quarterback.
So let's just be clear about everything here. When people say that the running back position has been devalued, it's not because the running back position is not valuable. It's because there's so many good ones out there. Because you can find them late rounds, right? That's why
McCormick was their best running back last season.
It's market saturation is what it is. Yeah. It's not because the NFL has gone away from the running game, or the NFL has gone away from using the run. That's not the case. It's because the saturation of the market, which is another baffling, like why we didn't have a decent running back last year. But that goes to show you the running game and the running back are still very important to the game. It's just the amount of running backs that are out there that can play a decent, solid role for you in a good offense, a good, well-coached offense that has brought the value down. So it's not like, there's what do we say? Maybe like 12 to 15 solid starting quarterbacks in the NFL. And there's just the revolving door of the bottom half is just a revolving door of guys who are still under contract, so they're going to stick around, and guys that are going to get replaced. So that's the exact opposite. There's not enough to go around. As far as running back goes, there's plenty, but when it's only devalued when unless you don't have one. And when you don't have one, it's like, oh, it's super valuable.
If you could get all right, so there's a running back that goes for $10 million a year. You could get a running back off the scrap heap for $1 million a year that can give you 85% of the production. It's like, what would you rather have? A running back that's a little bit better than a cheap one, or that cheap running back that's 85% as good, plus enough money for a Pro Bowl safety? Like that's what it comes down to, right? That's what it all comes down to. Is just.
And then you see people like you see teams like Washington. They didn't have, Austin Eckler is old as shit, dude. And he does really one thing well. He catches the ball out of the backfield. Well, Brian Robinson doesn't do that very well. So what do? They make two into one. So when they want to have a passing down, or they want to have the passing game highlighted out of the backfield, they throw it to Eckler. When they want to pound the ball, when they want to run the ball, then they put Robinson back in there. So you can do that too, and you can have two guys that aren't that expensive, that are still cheaper than one guy, and you can get the same production with two guys.
Another perk of an expensive back like Ashton Jeanty is presumably he'll also be a third down back because he can catch the ball at the backfield. So it's when he's in there, it doesn't give away run or pass, right?
I'm
Like
just really curious.
That's the plan.
That's one of the big curious, like Raheem Mostert. If this is a big if he's healthy, it's going to be really hard to keep him on the bench because this dude is just a year away from scoring 21 freaking touchdowns in a year in a system that's very similar as far as how they use the running backs out of the backfield that Chip Kelly does. So it's going to be, and you had A-Chain and Jeanty, two kind of speedster guys. I know Genty's a little bit stockier and runs with a little bit more power, but similar types. And you have a complement of Raheem Mostert to that. It's going to be really interesting to see how Chip Kelly rolls those two guys out.
I'm ready for some 22 personnel, baby. Brock, Mayer,
both out
Ashton.
There. Oh my God.
Do it, dude. Fuck it. I mean, and then you just put Trey Tucker on the outside just for speed, right? You just have someone clear some shit out. I mean, who in the intermediate lane, like what zone package exists that can cover Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, and Ashton Jeanty? Like, what zone package can cover all those guys? Even if there's not a lot of deep routes and you can even kind of like keep the shell shallow, like good fucking luck, man.
Look, the thing is because if you're gonna run a lot of 3 wide receiver sets, that's just the NFL. So if you do that, if the mini camp and all that stuff is any indication, you're gonna have Thornton on one side, Tucker on the other, and you're gonna have Jacoby Myers. That's the slot receiver, right? Moving him around. Whenever I saw a play of Dante Thornton's when he was single covered, when he didn't have any safety help, he was open. Now, they didn't always throw him the ball, but every single time he was single covered, he was open. And I'm not talking like open NFL open. I'm talking yards open. So if you have to do that, and then you have Brock Bowers moving around there and you have to pay him extra attention, like you're going to have a lot of open space for people to operate. The only way that I see that happening is a lot of teams, and not every team can do this because not every team has a coaching to be able to do this, but they do a split coverage where wherever the slot guy is, they'll make that side like a zone side, and then the other side will be like a man. But that's, quick passing will kind of kill that. It's just going to be very difficult. The only chance I see to consistently stop this passing attack, if everyone is firing the way that we feel that they can, is if you fool Geno Smith pre-snap. That's really the only way you can do it, is you bait him into something, which, he's been around a while, so it's going to be pretty difficult to fool, but yeah.
Have you seen the odds for Ashton Jeanty?
Yeah,
over under rushing yards and touchdowns. So they're kind of banking on 1,100 yards minus 110, basically even money. 1,100 rushing, not total, rushing yards for this upcoming season. And then 7+ touchdowns is minus 125. The closest thing to even money. 10+ at plus 300, 12+ plus 650, 15+ at plus 1,500. Some of these look pretty tempting.
There's not a lot. There's not a lot of difference between 7 and 12 in their mind. That difference is not that big as far as betting goes. But yeah, I mean, I can see it. Like I said before, I could see him around the 1,400 total, 1,500 total, anywhere between Bijan Robinson's 1,200 total yards and Saquon Barkley's 1,800 total yards. Anything in between there, that's a big sweet spot, but I can see him falling squarely in between there. And if he does 1,100 rushing and another 400 receiving, that's 1,500 right there. That's right smack dab in the middle.
For a 6th overall pick on a team that's committed to running the ball, and he stays healthy, more or less for the 17 games, he better get 1,400 plus yards for being rushing.
1,400 rushing yards.
For being that high drafted and being a primary rushing team, and he's going to get 80% of the touches, over 80% of the touches. Because I think with the odds, they go into.
I think you should change it better and put if in there. If he gets 80% of the touches, he should get this.
Yeah.
We don't really know what the split's going to be. Because Raheem Mostert can still be a very productive back.
Yeah. Again, 6th overall. This is the point about value, right? If you're going to commit the 6th overall pick to the running back, you got to maximize that. Like that needed to be the plan. If it's the 6th overall, and they're like,
oh, you're going to fall into Tommy Lasorda-ville where you freaking throw all your best pitchers' arms out in a couple of years. Like, yeah, you want to use them, but you don't want to wear them out.
Well, you wear him out in his rookie year and then don't re-sign him, which is what everyone does.
Well, I mean, if you think he's as special as people think he is, look what Saquon Barkley is doing now in his second contract.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you go to the best team in football,
if you have a guy like you said, if you have a guy who's 85% as good, you still want to get him touches and make your investment last longer. Yeah, I would do that because the Ashton Jeantys don't come around very often.
It's also the Vegas and the odds makers. These last couple numbers, like 1,000 rush yards to 1,400, that's for injury, right? Like even money in 1,100 yards, like he's for sure 90% sure he's getting that unless he gets hurt, right? So like that's where those numbers come in too. If he stays healthy, I think he should be pushing these numbers. He should be pushing like 1,400 plus rushing yards. If it makes the 6th overall pick what it's supposed to be, the focal point of the offense, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Speaking of, you're talking about Dante Thornton. Speaking of super tall gazelles that were and are Raiders, Darren Waller's back in the NFL. He had one of those like MMA retirements, last like 8 months. Then he's like, okay, I'm back. Tom Pelissero tweeted out, surprise, the Dolphins are finalizing a trade with the Giants for former Pro Bowl tight end Darren Waller, who's coming out of retirement to play in Miami per sources. Later found out the contract is 1 year, $5 million max. I don't know. Did you see the guarantees? I haven't seen any guarantees.
No, I haven't seen any
reported yet. But he pretty shocking that his rap career didn't keep him busy enough. Didn't take off and replace that football salary.
I think he's just so good at rapping that he doesn't need to put a lot of time into it.
Mm-hmm. You can just do it. You can just do it in the offseason.
Play football too. I'm just so good at everything.
Does this mean we're not going to get the sequel to this song? What was the name of this song again? Oh yeah, Who Knew? Her Perspective. It's going to be a shame.
Song about him getting cheated on and left by his wife.
Yeah, and getting stabbed.
Oh yeah,
and then just lays in the water. You remember this thing? I remember
the video. I just didn't remember what it was about. I've never heard of a second of this song.
Really?
Nope.
Oh my god, you're not doing you're robbing yourself.
I don't like slowing down at accidents. I don't watch people getting their arms broken in skateboarding videos. I just don't like that.
Or Darren Waller getting stabbed in the back. Look at this acting. She looks back, stabbed, goes down. You don't use that. I use that meme for so much. The Darren Waller just like laying with his face in the water. You know why he came back? It's because he's going to the Dolphins, and they're not going to use him as a fullback. Remember this interview that he did?
Shared this with anybody, but I knew I was retiring when we played in Buffalo. The Giants, we were playing there. It was a game where it was really controversial because one of the guys held me at the end. They didn't call it. It was in the first quarter of the game. We were running like this counter lead running play, and I'm kind of like leading through the hole like I'm a fullback, and the play is working. But I sit down on the sideline after like a drive where we ran like 3 times, and I'm like, what the f*** am I doing with my life? I'm out here playing fullback. I don't even want to do this anymore. And I'm just like looking at the moon. It's like early first quarter, second quarter. Nobody else would really even know that I'm thinking this, but I'm on the sideline like, yep, I'm going to finish this year to the best of my ability, but I'm definitely done playing after this year. And that was the only time I played.
I was looking at the moon, and no one knows I'm thinking this. Like, because no one was really thinking about you, Darren.
One of the things that really kind of jumped out at me was he was, one of the first games of the season, and he's looking up like, man, I'm going to retire after this. I'm going to retire after this bitch. And he's a captain. That's how dysfunctional the Giants were. They had a guy who was just like giving up on the season. They voted him a captain.
He's like the third best leader on the team. He's the one saying, "No, I refuse to block as a tight end. I'm a fucking tight end." And I'm like, "Nope, I'm not blocking. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all why a tight end would block."
And you know what? I apologize to everyone. I think we're burying the lead here. He admitted himself the play was working.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I don't want to do this. I don't care if it's working or not. Darren Waller needs to get his receptions, baby.
I guess he only wanted to play one way. And I guess in Miami he will, right? Mike McDaniel's not going to make him like block.
Well, they already have a fullback over there already.
You know, he's going to line up on the outside against corners that he's 6 inches taller than. See what happens there. You know what's wild?
Yeah.
Waller, Renfro, and Arnett are all back in the NFL.
I wish them all well.
Very weird. And who knows?
Well, I mean,
Henry Ruggs in a season and a half.
Henry Ruggs, I wish him well too.
I wish them all well. It's just wild to me. What's old is new again. Time is a flat circle, Soto. Time is a flat circle.
It's like a record, like a merry-go-round. It goes up and down and around, circular, all good things.
Okay. When was that from? Let us know in the comment section. So some guy, I don't know who this is, Aiden Ibrahimi. Do you know who this guy is? Fresh for Rotoballer?
No.
I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Aiden Ibrahimi thinks there's a good chance Geno Smith gets benched this season. He wrote on RotoWire, the fairy tale Rotoballer, much more baller. The fairy tale 2022 season landed him a huge $75 million extension with the Seahawks. The team hasn't stagnated in the following seasons. Through all these yards, through all these touchdowns. These numbers would have been really good in the 90s and mid-2000s, but his efficiency stats are scary, similar to the league average. Went off all the numbers. These numbers make sense after all. When NFL Throwback used the NFL's research data to find the most average quarterback of this era, Smith was one of the quarterbacks on their final short list. And of course, in the offseason, Smith reunited with Pete Carroll and the Raiders and is predicted as their starter. The Raiders don't have any outstanding quarterbacks, but Aiden O'Connell isn't too far off Smith's standard and is 8 years younger. This will likely be a run-heavy team. It could be so if Smith struggles early on, he could be replaced by O'Connell. And don't let Smith's new contract fool you either. Jimmy Garoppolo signed a 3-year, $67.5 million contract. The Raiders was benched by OC in week 9. If Smith struggles early on, he could be replaced by Aiden O'Connell, Soto.
Yeah, this is a I don't know who this Ibrahimi guy is.
I think it's because their names are Aiden. He's like, oh yeah,
is a pretty weak take. Mm-hmm. What does struggle mean? You know, like there's it's a very subjective thing. It's just, I don't know. I don't like this type of reporting. I think this is dog shit.
Yeah, I think it's because both their names are Aiden. I don't know, like, you know, of course there's a universe where a backup quarterback on any team can fill in for a starter purely by performance-wise, but I don't see a world where they're like, okay, Geno's the problem, Aiden's coming in. I don't see a world where that's the case. And remember, with Jimmy Garoppolo, there was a regime change halfway through the season too, right? So like that was part of it. Jimmy got benched because there was a new coach. He wanted like a fresh start something new. Like, I don't know if I almost don't want to joke about it. Like, God forbid, knock on wood, Pete Carroll has a heart attack or something, and someone else comes in. I don't know. Maybe Aiden gets a start from that. That's like the only imagination land place I can go to think of a scenario where Aiden O'Connell replaces a healthy Geno Smith.
Let's just put this in perspective. And I want to say this up front, because a lot of times I say something and a lot of the windbags out there just take it out of context and just add stuff to what I'm saying. They put more salsa on the taco, okay? Look, both times that Aiden O'Connell took over for a veteran quarterback, that veteran quarterback wasn't just struggling. They were having god-awful seasons. Let's just put that into perspective. Aiden O'Connell couldn't beat the guys out, and they had absolutely dreadful seasons, and then mid-season, Aiden O'Connell took over. So it's not like Aiden O'Connell was back there like he just got signed off the scrap heap and no one knew who he was. He was on the team, just we couldn't beat him out. It just happens when the snaps were live and the snaps really counted. The two quarterbacks that were ahead of him the first two seasons were just probably some of the worst quarterback in the league.
When Aiden O'Connell replaced Gardner Minshew led the league in interceptions.
By a lot.
That was like week 8-ish.
8.
It took till week 12 for someone to pass Gardner Minshew in interceptions. Minshew rode the bench for 4 games and still led the league in interceptions. Think about that for a minute. Like he needed a fourth of the season for people to pass him by in interceptions. That's how bad. Again, it was also Getsy. It was head coach, O-line, no run game, and of course Minshew not being good. Like it was a lot of things. It was a lot of things, and the Raiders didn't do Minshew a lot of favors, and Minshew didn't do the Raiders a lot of favors. But like that's how bad these quarterbacks had to play for them to be like, let's give the second-year, 4th rounder who can't run a shot. And again, we love Favre on this team. Like he has played his part out.
I think we're a lot more realistic in who he is. He's not as accurate as we once thought. His arm isn't as strong as we had hoped it could develop into. He's definitely not as mobile as we wanted him to be. So, you put that all together and you get a pretty decent backup quarterback because he's smart. He doesn't get fooled too much pre-snap, but it's just the physical tools that are holding him back. I don't see Geno falling on his face the way Jimmy Garoppolo and Gardner Minshew did, though. That was like, I'm talking like some of the worst quarterbacks in the league type play.
And again, everything else going bad around them, right? Because it was Jimmy Garoppolo's worst season of his career. It was Gardner Minshew's worst season of his career. So it wasn't like, well, we knew he was this. Like, he was never that bad. But again, Luke Getsy, no run game. Devontae Adams wanting out of there, We don't need to remind Raider fans about the dysfunction that was happening before old Tommy B.
All that happened last year?
Back-to-back years. We've had back-to-back years of that kind of dysfunction. This is Favre's 5th offensive coordinator, Chip Kelly.
He had 1 in college. 1 in 6 years in college.
Fucking Purdue, the fucking basement dweller of the Big Ten, was 1,000 times more like stable than an NFL franchise. Like the punching bag of the Big Ten was just like, they look at the Raiders and they're like, wow, get your act together, boys. Ugh.
It's just time, dude. It's just time. It took. We're going to get to this a little bit later, but it took somebody that values stability and getting it right, But oh god, it's been a freaking fiasco the last 25 years or so.
That's why, and I've been thinking about this for a while. Las Vegas is such a destination now. One, Mark Davis is overpaying people, which is great, right? What do we care if a billionaire has a couple less millions? Let's make the team better, right? Outside the salary cap, which you can't control. He's doing that. And because I keep getting asked by people and other radio shows I go on, they're like, now that Geno Smith's the quarterback, how many wins does he get the Raiders to next season? As if the win total is only going to be affected by Geno Smith. And the answer is always the same. It's like, well, who gets the credit? Is it Pete Carroll? Is it Tom Brady? Is it Geno Smith? Is it Ashton Jeanty? Is it Chip Kelly? Who gets the credit for if the Raiders, have a great season, double their win total, progress, whatever? Because everyone's going to take credit. Every agent of every person I just mentioned. Let's say the Raiders just go 9-8 next season, more than double their win total. Every agent of every single one of those people I mentioned are going to be like, when they, whenever there's a contract coming up or whatever, hey, Ashton Jeanty was the lead back, and they doubled their win total. Pete Carroll, he was the head coach one season, doubled their win total. Triumph has a lot of brothers and failure sits alone, or whatever that line is, right? It's like, if you come to the Raiders now, and if let's say the Raiders flop again, let's say it happens, no one's going to be blamed. It's going to be just the same old Raiders, right? They're not going to blame Tom. The Lord knows not going to blame Tom Brady. They're not going to blame Ashton Jeanty. They're not going to blame Geno. They're not going to blame Pete Carroll. They're going to be like, yeah, just the same old Raiders, right? Just the same old Raiders. If they do great, every single person that's new in that building, their agent, these guys won't, because that's who they are. They're football players. Every single one of those agents are going to say, look what my client did. Look what the miracle my client performed. Made the Raiders a winning franchise.
To be fair, it's going to have to take every single one of those people doing well for the Raiders to turn it around. Because it wasn't like it was just one thing that was failing the Raiders and like, oh, God, if we can just fix that one thing. Yeah. It's a lot of things that need to be a lot better. The coaching needs to be better as far as in-game strategy, game planning, time management, all that stuff. The running back needs to be better. The blocking, the quarterback play, all that stuff needs to be better. So yeah, just pick your, just whatever direction you look into. If the Raiders do end up, making the playoffs, it's going to be a lot of things being a drastic turnaround, not just one thing.
But you get my point. I
get it,
right?
But either way, whoever's talking, they're right. Is it because
yes. And if it doesn't pan out,
yes. Is it because Geno Smith? Yes.
And if it doesn't pan out, not all of them can say it's not our fault. The Raiders are always this way. I don't know about that. Raiders are always bad.
People were coming down on Antonio Pierce last year. They were coming down on Gardner.
They were coming down on Antonio Pierce for the very obvious in-game.
They came down on Josh McDaniels. They came down on Jimmy Garoppolo for having poor seasons. So they came down on the offensive line. I mean, so it's not like the blame wasn't specific. It's just all the same already. I mean, there was some specific blame out there, but it's like, if it's the whole entire team, just say it's the whole entire team. It wasn't like, what did we do that was really good last season?
I didn't see anyone come down on Antonio Pierce as like, okay, he's like a bad motivator, overall bad coach. Is like, look at these stupid timeouts. Look at this stupid in-game management.
Being a bad coach, no one's saying a bad motivator.
But that's my point. Is like, unless any of these people I mentioned give the critics a very specific thing to blame, they can get out of this as just being able to wipe their hands and say, well, it's the Raiders organization. It's not my fault. Unless they really kick themselves in the dick with
good thing for us, they all kicked themselves
Jimmy G play. Yeah.
Every person I mentioned kicked themselves squarely in the dick.
So if this offense isn't successful, right, and Chip Kelly puts together a pretty good scheme, right? Like the scheme's pretty decent. It just doesn't come together. I don't think Chip's going to get the blame. I think it's going to be same old Raiders. If Geno Smith has decent numbers and plays decent, but the offense falls apart, I don't think Geno Smith's getting the blame. I think it's going to be the Raiders. And that's why I feel like Las Vegas is the destination now. You can get overpaid if you're not a salary cap guy, right? If you're a coach or personnel or GM or whatever, right? They're overpaying. And if things go great, your agent gets to say you're a part of what made that happen. And if things go bad, you can say, the stank of Josh McDaniels and Antonio Pierce is still all over this thing. They weren't able to climb out of it.
I don't know. I think you're kind of riding that line there. Because you even said yourself, if he plays decent, well, we haven't had a guy that played decent at quarterback for a while. So they were getting the blame on it. So it's like you're saying, well, if he plays decent, no one's going to blame him. Well, yeah, why would you?
They've been playing. They weren't even getting close to decent.
Why would you blame Geno if he was playing decent? So that's the thing. That's what doesn't make sense to me. Why would you blame Geno if he played decent?
A lot of people blame Derek Carr, and he played decent. Like quarterbacks get blame all the time. They get blame and credit they don't deserve all the time, and that's my point. Quarterbacks get all the blame, all the credit, whether they deliver it or not. This is a unique situation.
Okay.
Speaking of Geno, I'm sure we've all seen this video, him blowing up on a 7-on-7s league. That's why they pay me the big bucks. That's why I get the big bucks. Flipping out on high schoolers. Things breaking up. First off,
Why'd you play
high
the audio?
schoolers. We can just walk it through. I'll just talk about it. High schoolers need a tongue lashing on a regular basis. High schoolers are pieces of shit. I don't trust youths. So any chance you have,
was he yelling at a high schooler, or was he yelling at an adult on the opposite side?
the video never showed.
I think it was an adult.
Showed.
I don't think it was a coach, but it was either a parent or an adult that was cheering for the other team. It wasn't
as
a
long
player.
as teenagers heard it. That's all I care about.
Yeah,
because teenagers are pieces of shit.
Yeah, when I was going through it, the person that Geno was yelling at during the game was giving it to Geno Smith, telling him, "You're overrated and you need an ego check and blah 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 and this and that." And lo and behold, Geno Smith's team won the entire tournament. And after they won the entire tournament, Geno Smith tells him, "Yeah, that's why they pay me the big bucks, because I win. Here we go. What's up?"
I love that Geno Smith thinks he's getting paid the big bucks because he's the 17th highest paid quarterback in football.
I mean, relatively to the NFL, those are pretty big bucks. And relatively to anyone on that field, those are the big bucks.
I love that Geno Smith thinks he's getting paid big bucks because then we don't have to pay him more.
Don't anyone tell him what everyone else is paying.
I want Geno Smith to be like, dude, I am rolling in it. I'm fucking killing it. I'm Scrooge McDuck diving into the bank and swimming through gold coins.
It's all relative, man.
Let him think
it's
that.
all relative.
Yeah, I want him thinking that.
I like it, man. More. Shows a little fire. I made a video about this on my other channel, and I was saying, I'm not saying that we have to have this, but every time we've won consistently, we've had a quarterback that had a little bit of an edge to him. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying it's a must, but just so happens you got Stabler, you got Plunkett. He was no angel. Gannon was. I remember Gannon and freaking Gruden just in each other, just spit flying back and forth, screaming at each other at the top of their lungs.
I feel like that was a Gruden thing because like Gannon is such a stick in the mud personality.
Not on the field, dude.
But
not on the field. He was some different person on the field.
He kind of was with Kansas City. Like I said, that's my point. Is I think it was a Gruden thing. I think Gruden is such a quarterback whisperer. He took this like
he just got it out of him,
Rich Gannon and just like let me piss this guy off. Let me wasn't Rich older than
I think he was a year. Oh no, Gruden? I think he was a year older than him. Yeah, he
right.
Was like
I think Rich was older than John. Oh, let me look it up. I'm almost positive Gannon was like barely older than Gruden.
But yeah,
Gruden was like getting him to flip out.
I don't want to disparage any of the other quarterbacks like Jason Campbell, like Carson Palmer, like Marcus Tuiasosopo, like Aaron Brooks, or Kerry Collins. Whenever we've won, we've had a guy that's a little bit of a edge, a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. Kind of like that. I kind of like Geno Smith standing up for himself, putting people in their place.
I just like anyone doing it around high schoolers, to and or around high schoolers.
To be fair, this is South Florida. Okay,
those high schoolers are 23 years old.
Those are rental car mile years. They could be high schoolers, but those 15, 17 years they've seen a lot.
Well, they're like bred for football and held back 4 times, so they're like 22 years old, driving caddies and shit. Geno tweeted out following, "I've heard worse at family reunion spade tables."
He ain't lying.
If you think Geno Smith is going to apologize for that,
no.
I got some oceanfront property in Arizona I'd like to sell you.
What did he actually say though? He didn't say anything demeaning to the person. He just said I won. This is why I get paid the big bucks. That's why. This is why I get paid. He didn't say I get paid more than you and you ain't nothing. And I pay more. I paid more last year in spilled liquor than you made. Like he didn't say any of that stuff, right? And I don't know if you've ever been to family reunions that had spades tables. I have, and they're brutal.
The Clifford family has drawn blood playing bones. We've broken
I was
tables
telling
and
you.
drawn blood.
Yeah, we my family we don't play games anymore because
Am I the only one disappointed in Geno Smith shit talking? That's why I get paid the big bucks. I mean, no one's expecting him to be Chael Sonnen or Conor McGregor, but that's the best you got.
I think you're reading a little too much into it. I think it was fine. Fine.
I'm not wowed by it. When it comes to like qualities I want in a quarterback, vision, leadership, arm, doesn't even make the top 20 shit talking ability. But I like a little better shit talk than Geno's.
You would want a little edge to him,
Yeah. Same with Max. Max talks a lot of shit, and because it comes out of his mouth, there's weight to it. You're Max fucking Crosby. Like, you could say, you know what I mean? Like, you can say anything. You're like, fuck, Max said that. But it's like not clever, Like, I don't know,
man. Little ass boy was pretty good.
But he just repeats it. Like, he just repeated it like 17 times. It worked, though. Because, like I'm saying, when it's Max saying
it works.
When it's Max Crosby. He can just say, I like green apples.
These aren't guys that sit around like Chael Sonnen and Conor McGregor. They sit around and like try to figure out things to say. And then when they get on a mic that they know they're going to be on a mic at a press conference or a podium, and they can spit out the stuff that either they wrote or someone wrote for them. All right, this is just impromptu while they're playing on. If Chael Sonnen talked that shit while he was fighting, then you can compare him to Max Crosby.
I want witty, and I'm not getting witty.
He's not doing it while he's fighting.
You can get
he needs to do it while he's fighting.
You can use some wit and get
for
under
it to be
players,
the same thing.
Under opponent's
you're
skin.
Comparing two different things. It's an uneven playing field that you're comparing. Now,
I demand excellence.
Nick Diaz.
Maybe you're fine with mediocre trash talk on your football team. I don't have this mullet because I don't demand excellence. Should I pull to the side? Do I look like
that's more of a
Dorothy?
skull? Yeah, it's me. Look,
Dorothy from Wizard of Oz.
It's the same thing we're talking about here. If you're comparing him and saying, okay, he's not good as Nick Diaz because Nick Diaz did it during the fight, that's the same thing as Max Crosby doing it during the game.
And Max loves the Diaz brothers. You think he'd come with some better shit talk?
Yeah, you'd think so.
You think
but
so?
JLP he's got a good writer, and he's very good at delivery.
Well, he's witty as shit too. Like you see him at like Q&A, Q&As and stuff. Like he's getting questions that aren't planned, and he comes up with it. That's why he was able to lose all those times and still make millions. Ready to do some What a Windbags?
Yeah, let's do it.
Solomon Mitchell, thank you so much for being a member of Autumn Windbags. My cold take is for Michael Robinson. The Raiders is where players go to have their careers die. He said that bullshit on the podcast with Pete Carroll. In his defense, I did the comment out of context, but he said it nonetheless. I mean, that's been true, right? We just got done talking last week about every highly paid free agent that's come to the Raiders in the last like 15 years. How many of them panned out? Someone brought up Michael Crabtree. So there's one. And then someone brought up Charles Woodson. I was like, well, we drafted him and then he left and then he came back. So does that even count? Right? Like half. So it's been like
Donald
1.5 free agents.
Had good years with us.
Rodney.
What's his name? Hudson. Jared Cook had a couple good years with us when he came in and he was a free agent. He
wasn't a big free agent signing though, right? Like I think that's what we're talking about.
Now you're having to all these qualifiers.
That was a discussion last week.
He said what? No, he said that
signings.
He said that he didn't say anything about career. He didn't say anything about big signings. He said players go to have their careers die. That's what he said. Yeah. And it hasn't always been the case. I think they just threw the.
I was merging the two discussions. That's fair.
But he did say it in the context of he was asking Pete Carroll a question was he have any hesitancy over taking over the job because people say that the Raiders are where players go for their careers to die. So he wasn't saying that himself saying it. He said that people were saying it.
Trying to get Pete fired up. People have been saying they're around here. Whispers have been out. At X Saruman. Clearly, the recent off-field success with the Raiders is due to Brady. No way Pete, Spy, or Chip come anywhere near this team unless Mark Davis is completely out of the picture. So let's just hope it stays that way. Chip was going to go. I feel like Chip was just a mercenary. He was going to go to the highest bidder. There's no like desire, I think, for Chip to work with the Raiders or Pete Carroll or Geno Smith. I think he was just going to go, whoever paid him the most. Like he left UCLA to be the OC of the national champions, right? So he's just like, I'm just going to go whoever pays me and works. Spy Tech, I think for sure. That was a Tom Brady. I think you can say with pretty much absolute certainty, if Brady wasn't running things around here, John Spytek doesn't come to the Raiders as GM.
Yeah, definitely. It is. You're using your contacts. Chip Kelly and Pete Carroll have a lot of history together. You just you're using your resources, and I really do think that Mark Davis is taking a huge step back and then letting a lot of these other guys make a lot of these decisions, because there's some heavy hitters, in the ownership group now that, like we talked about previous, where the Raiders, overall value is a drop in the bucket to what they control with their other companies. So they're bringing that mindset and they're bringing that mindset of business and how to structure things and who to put in the premium positions. They're bringing that strategy over, and it's for right now it seems to be doing a pretty good job, and we'll see how it translates to the field. But as far as the combination of quarterback, head coach, offensive coordinator, I don't think we've had as good one in a long time. I can't think of one in a long time.
So I've had 20/20 vision my whole life. I feel like these Star sunglasses just dropped my vision 30 points. I think they just made me blind. Totally worth it, but I just want to put that out there. C Breezy 510. I say bring back the swear jar. As a single dad, sometimes I'm unable to listen to you guys because of the language. Raunchy talk, I usually fast forward, but dropping F-bombs are usually unexpected. C Breezy, we love you, but you are a bad father if you are playing the Autumn Windbags around young kids. This is not made for the youth's ears.
Yeah, put the AirPods in, dude.
Yeah,
Come on, man.
This is not family friendly programming. So
it's okay, man. Look, your kids
love
are gonna learn it anyway.
Hope we didn't get you in trouble, but we are who we are.
Some of the smartest kids I know, their parents cuss like crazy, but the kids understand that there's in the home talk and there's outside the home talk.
There's adult language and not adult language. And we use neither. We use very juvenile language that is not suitable for anybody. It's amazing you guys are here. Well, that's it for us. Hope you guys have a fantastic 4th of July. Soto, big plans? 4th of July?
Hanging out with the chick, her kids' fam. They have a thing going on. I'm doing that. I'm trying to make it something where we can all band together and celebrate.
USA.
It's kind of a divisive time right now, but I think being more divisive is just something that is going to make things harder. So I think we should just band together.
It is the people versus the government. It's not Republican versus Democrats, left versus right. It's the people as one against the government. You coming to my 3rd of July block party tomorrow?
Today when people maybe. I think I can. It's going to be after work.
Yeah, we're going till the sun goes down. It's gonna be a ball. Did you come last? You came last year, right?
Last year I did. 2 years ago I did.
Even bigger. It's gonna be even bigger.
Bigger.
It could be bigger, longer, and uncut. So it's gonna be today, as you guys are listening to this, July 3rd. If anyone wants to go, if you can find it, if you're in the Huntington Beach area, hit me up on social media. You're invited. All of Raider Nation, every windbag who wants to go to my 3rd of July block party. Come on down. Come say hi to me. Kick Soto in the nuts. Go down the slide.
Maybe not.
Kick him in one nut. He needs another one. Just one nut. Anyway, guys, if I don't see you, have a fantastic Independence Day. We'll be back next week. Soto is doing near daily, kind of like lunch live shows, just top it on for like 15 minutes. And of course, he's super active on his other channel as well, Raiders versus the World. So we got you covered, man. Even though there's no like basically anything happening for 4 weeks in football.
Guys, I'm telling you something right now. If
down.
you don't think it's hard to get absolutely 100% original content on 2 channels every single day, it's difficult. But I'm bringing you guys original content on both channels every single, well, not every single day because I don't go live every day. Most days.
That's why Soto gets paid the big bucks. That beard ain't
Something
cheap.
like
Until next time, knock on wood if you're with me. Hey, you made it to the end of our video. Great job. I know you want more. Go ahead and click the next video. And if you're feeling crazy, go ahead and subscribe.